NASCAR's next stop is Seneca Lake, and we've got you covered with our best bets and DFS tiers for when the Cup Series goes bowling at the Glen. It's the Backroad coming right at you.
It's a non-points race, but it is a short race. Checker flag. That's where all this race goes.
Two for the States.
What's good, everybody? Happy Thursday night to you, wherever you may be watching. It's the Backroad. It's In Between Media's Fantasy NASCAR betting show. My name is Elliot Hicks, and with me is Seth Woolcock. We are going to break down a wild weekend from Atlanta that started off the Cup Series playoffs. We'll give you a Watkins Glen breakdown, go through the best bets and the DFS tiers, and at the end of it, if you like this hat I'm wearing, I know we're not heading to Pocono, but we were at the Great American Getaway 400 back in the summer. We got an extra one of these hats, and you can have it along with some extra goodies. Stay tuned to the end of the show for a giveaway. Seth, man, I know you're excited for this one just like I am.
Dude, Elliot, great to be back with you here on the Thursday episode of the Backroad. I absolutely thrive in the fall time, and there's nothing quite like fall heading up to Watkins Glen here, right off Seneca Lake in the beautiful Finger Lakes area of the country. So I'm hyped up. I have some absolute hammers of bets, some big units, small card from the quantity size, but the quality, oh, baby. So I'm absolutely ready to go, and happy to have the IBT family here as well with us, Elliot. If you guys are joining us here live, let us know in the comments below. We're going to do a giveaway, as Elliot mentioned, at the end of the show. So we want to make sure you guys are involved with that. We got Marcus, who's holding it down here, asking who's everyone's pick here for Watkins Glen. And Elliot, who do you think Marcus's pick is?
Probably that number 20 car. Yeah, Christopher Bell.
Yes, sir. Tried and true as always.
Makes a little more sense this week, at least, than some of those weeks, Marcus.
Yes, absolutely. Charles saying, what's up, IBT family? Shout out Marcus for getting the comments in hours in advance. Yeah, Marcus in here at 6:30. He was ready to go. Charles already given out some of his plays. I know we'll touch on these later on as well. Excited for it, man. Elliot, what do you say? Should we jump into it, though? Talk about Atlanta, which was, it's a very high stakes time kind of in the NASCAR industry, I'd say, in general. But it's always great to have racing on tap, especially last week at Atlanta, which was a chill race for once.
Yeah, it's still made for an exciting playoff opener even without the crazy chaos. So let's take a look back in the rearview. So it was a doubleheader weekend with the Xfinity Series also racing in Atlanta. Not quite their playoffs yet, but inching closer. And of course, just as they do, the rest of the series pretty much just hands the W's to Austin Hill. Nobody really makes the moves at the right time or until the last lap. It's always so frustrating when I watch these Xfinity races because Austin Hill's usually in the lead. And there's 4 or 5 guys that kind of know their shit back there. And I'm like, make a move, guys. Come on, somebody go. They all wait to the last lap. Corey Heim doesn't go with Chandler Smith. People were mad about that because of manufacturer. I was mad about that because it pretty much handed the win again to Austin Hill, who's now won 5 times at Atlanta.
Yeah, shout out Rod. Rod called the Austin Hill outright last week. Pretty chalky favorite if you ask me, but
no doubt.
Absolutely insane. Like, this is a pretty crazy streak that Austin Hill always just finds himself around, especially at Atlanta and super speedways in general. So hats off to him. He's not the most popular guy, I think, in the betting world because he is so juiced of the favorite when we go there. And also, I think, just on the internet in general. But shout out Austin Hill. And the Xfinity races at Atlanta, like, they're not my favorite anymore. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like we've run that course a bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same sort of thing. You have the guys that wreck. You have the guys that can't ever make the moves like they need to get by that 21.
Yeah.
Who's now, I think, he's even with Dale Jr. and needs one more to get Dale and Tony Stewart or something like that for most super speedway Xfinity wins. And that came up pretty quick. I mean, Austin Hill just showing just how dominant he is. Thankfully, the Cup race was a little more exciting. And who else but Joey Logano was going to pull one out of his ass, win in the round, advance himself into the round of 12 in what really has not been a great season for him. Ends up moving on, getting his second win on the new reconfigured Atlanta.
Yeah, for how much I felt like I was kind of off in the Xfinity series, I felt like really handicapped this race pretty well, Elliot. We were on Penske. That was my one heavy outright last week was Penske. And Austin Cindric, I was especially high on. And Austin Cindric kind of was really the star of the show in this one. Led 92 laps, continues to build stage points, getting himself into potentially the next round, or at least position to advance into that round of 12. And Joey Logano kind of comes away with this win, but it's not without Ryan Blaney, who at one point we were like, oh, here goes Ryan Blaney out of this one early, doesn't do anything wrong, gets taken out in someone else's mistake. And they repair that car so well. Shout out to the number 12 pit crew and team who were able to get that car back on the racetrack. And it didn't feel like you were really able to pass a ton this weekend. The third lane didn't always develop, but Ryan Blaney was slicing and dicing his way, got up there. And this was a fun race, Elliot, in a way, because it felt like we talked about it last week, Rod and I did, that Ryan Blaney is statistically the best driver at Atlanta. And he was up there at the end. The second best, Daniel Suarez. And he was up there competing for the win on the outside with Ross Chastain, who was giving him hell as well. So, we didn't have any big upsets, like no surprise top 10s, in my opinion. I think Cindric was probably the longest, and he was still like plus 140 or something. So I think in general, it's kind of nice to see this play out naturally for once.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I should clarify what Charles pulling up is Atlanta Super Speedway. It races like a super speedway. So anytime we mention now, it's basically considered a super speedway across the board. And Blaney, he definitely is the favorite on these sort of super speedway style tracks. That was still a hell of a job for his crew. Perfect weekend for Dent Wizard to be on that car, to be as dented as that thing was and as taped up as it was, and still finish third. But this was a race where, the status quo was kind of met. We didn't have a super surprise winner, but guys kind of on the bottom flipped themselves up toward the top, and guys kind of on the top kind of moved toward the bottom. I know Briscoe was already toward the bottom, gets caught up in Kyle Larson's mess. They're both down low. Denny Hamlin, a guy who 4, 5, 6 years ago was the king of super speedways. He's got 3 Daytona 500s to his name. Yeah. Sits in the back, runs 25th after being 2 seconds off in qualifying, finishes 24th, even trying to stay out of the wreck, and gets involved in a wreck anyway on the last lap. But we saw guys, you mentioned Cindric, you mentioned Suarez, Alex Bowman ran up front all day, got some stage points. We already mentioned Cindric. Some of these guys trying to flip around their destiny. Harrison Burton was even at one point live in the race. Harrison Burton was 10 above the cut line, which we weren't really expecting. His finish didn't turn out so well, but it was a good race. There wasn't a whole lot of crazy chaos. We saw a decent amount of racing, even though the passing wasn't quite great at the front. But we saw some pretty respectable racing. I remember one driver said that these guys should be proud of themselves for not just crashing and ending up in a demolition derby. So that was at least a plus from the weekend.
Well, and to Charles' point in the chat, Elliot, I will say, I think this Atlanta, as it's getting worn in, is kind of becoming kind of like the older Atlanta in a way. It feels like this race at least didn't feel as super speedway-esque as the other one did earlier this season, and the ones we've seen in 23 and 22 as well. So, maybe we're going to get back to where they do start spreading out again, and where we do start seeing some gaps. We kind of saw it on Saturday a little bit, so maybe we see that shift on Sunday. But as of now, I would still say bet this like a super speedway. Very lucky for myself. I walk away just about 3.5 units in the green for last week. And didn't bet a whole lot, only had 6 units in the pot. So I think that's going to continue to kind of be my approach here. And I would say same for you probably as well. It's smaller unit size, take a couple sprinkles here and there. But I'm still not betting this like a normal race.
Yeah, and a lot of people were saying also that it's kind of similar to the old Daytona before it's repaved, where, of course, you saw some of that crazy 2 wide or 3 wide, 30 cars deep, but you didn't see it quite as much. Guys had to pull off the handling a little more. You would see those smaller packs kind of occasionally break off, and still being able to work the draft and run it that way, but without, going from first to 25th on a half a straightaway. So I do think Atlanta's coming into its own, and that's kind of what they said. It kind of, people were not happy when they did it. People were not happy with the first couple of races, but now it's starting to become a racer's racetrack again, and that'll only make the entertainment better, even if it's still super speedway-esque.
Yeah, let us know in the chat, guys. Let us know in the comments after the show as well, what you guys think about Atlanta. Are you still betting it and playing fantasy on it like it is a super speedway, or do you think it is kind of becoming like one of these after aforementioned tracks as well? Looks like Chuck had a good week himself, 2.5 units in the green. That's all you can ask for, man. Hit the Austin Hill outright as well. So glad to hear that for you, man. Congrats on that one. What do you say, Ellie? I think we have a couple news items that we haven't touched on since the last time you and I were both in the saddle together.
Yeah, the main one we want to focus on is the 2025 schedule release. We haven't really done a deep dive on it yet. So now's as good a time as ever. And really the big headliner, I feel like, is both the Cup and Xfinity Series going to Mexico City and making its return there for the first time in some 15 or 20 odd years since Xfinity ran its couple of races down there.
Yeah, I think this is absolutely something that needs to happen here. I think it's great to see NASCAR truly expanding its portfolio here and going international. We've heard about it a lot the last couple of seasons, how, hey, we need to go global. Other sports are doing it. The NFL is doing it. Soccer is doing it. Baseball is doing it. They played the Korean series. So
Yeah,
it's
play a
great.
game in London, they're everywhere too.
Is it a financial hardship on the teams? Is it going to be a struggle? Everyone needs to have a passport. Is there going to be a lot of complaining, some hurdles? Absolutely. But I think there is a base down there of race fans that we need to be targeting. We need to expose the sport to more people as well. So I'm very happy about it. I am a little bummed to lose Richmond just because that's one of our closer tracks. I think Richmond has some really good racing altogether as well. Are you okay with losing Richmond, though, if it is going to mean more racing for more fans worldwide?
Yeah, I mean, I think going international was definitely inevitable. Thankfully, we do still keep one Richmond date later in the year. We just don't get that second one anymore. Throwing in another road course on the schedule, I'm sure will upset some people. Like you said, the logistics of a passport too. I know Bowman said he'd never even thought of going out of the country. Kyle Busch had his struggles down in Mexico, but those have been all cleared up now. We know Daniel Suarez is stoked to be down there. I think that 99 will be a favorite when we go to bet it here. I would have liked, hopefully they keep Mexico City around, but I'd like them to bring back Circuit Gilles Villeneuve up there in Montreal. Those were always some of my favorite Xfinity races back in the day. The international expansion, despite what a very small but very vocal population of the workforce and the fan base in NASCAR, taking NASCAR international can only be good for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we'll continue to see this as it goes along here. I know people have shouted out some mini road courses that are over in Europe as well. So maybe eventually we see that. But just good to see some different stuff on this schedule as a whole here, man. Like the clash at Bowman Gray. I mean, talk about an event. You got this little, is it even a quarter-mile racetrack around a football field? I don't know. Can even 10,000 people get in that stadium? It's just such a cool historic venue. So that's great to be back on the schedule here, kicking things off next season.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I didn't think they could pull off the LA Coliseum when it hosted the Clash for 3 years.
Yeah.
I don't know that they can pull off Bowman Gray, but I'm sure it'll be a hell of a show. And I almost wonder, not that the Clash was ever super respectable, but this could very easily just evolve into I don't even know. A shit show is probably too strong a term. I think that these guys are going to go out and have a fun time, give a fun, throwback style race on, like you said, nice little bull ring of a track there at Bowman Gray. It'll be fun to watch. I mean, just like the Coliseum, you could hear it from how I was just saying it. Same as the Coliseum. I don't know what to expect. It's going to be hella cool, hella interesting. It's going to be a fun time.
Yeah, and from a betting perspective too, it's good in a way because I felt like if we do go back to the Coliseum one more time, odds are going to be super juiced in the favorites' favor. However, the Clash at the Coliseum was one of the best betting weekends I've had for years now. Like 2 years in a row. I don't know. I call it a fluke, call it beginner's luck. I don't know, but the Clash was always a great betting weekend for us. So hopefully it continues to be, and the books can wrap their arms around it as well.
Yeah, again, I don't know what odds the books are going to set, but I tell you what, it's going to be fun come next February or even late January to see how that goes and see how we can start off making some coin in the 2025 season.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else on Bowman Gray, or you want to go through playoff changes?
Yeah. What else are some of these most notable schedule changes that can affect fans and bettors here in 2025? You think, Elliot?
Yeah, I think the playoffs are definitely important too. There was a lot of moving and shaking in the regular season we can get to too. But so Daytona's back to the regular season finale and Darlington back to the playoff opener. As was expected, the Olympic break just threw off the time of year for that relating to the races. So Darlington, Gateway/Worldwide Technology Raceway in New Hampshire, all are in the playoffs next season. Moving out is Atlanta. That's moving the second date to July. Homestead is moving to March, which kind of disappointed some people. I know some people were hoping that could be or will be the championship race again at some point soon. And Watkins Glen, where we're heading this weekend, also is going to be one and done in the playoffs. And also some scheduling changes there. Talladega is going to be in the round of 8 next year. And some of these changes may be good. Some of them may be bad. I know some drivers have voiced a lot of displeasure, especially about Talladega being that late in the playoffs, having a gigantic wild card that close to the championship.
I mean, think about it, dude. Like, we could legitimately see like an Austin Cindric get to the championship. Like that's what that means. Like, really, from a betting standpoint, again, I'm gonna be throwing out some guys who can win on super speedways, like a Cindric, like a Briscoe, maybe next year in my futures card, because I think you have to consider that someone like that could get to the championship four, which kind of sucks. I think in a way, like from a fan standpoint, Elliot, but it is cool, I guess, in some way. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of how this playoffs is set up. If I'm going to be straight up with you, like the Roval, come on, like let's just move on. And if we want to do it, let's do it. Let's not do it in the playoffs. And like, I get Worldwide Technology Raceway's been good for us so far. People like Gateway. It was fun this year with Cindric kind of being the surprise winner there. But I don't know. I just feel like we have better tracks than that as well. So I don't know. Like, what would you grade this overall playoff schedule and schedule as a whole on a scale from 1 to 10? Would you say?
I still think it gets probably 6, 7, 8, somewhere in that range. Obviously it's not perfect. I think that probably the 2026 schedule will be closer to kind of what NASCAR wants. Some more changes even being talked about. Maybe we do get Homestead in that championship race. Maybe we throw the Roval out for a few years and get that good racing on the Charlotte Oval for a second time. But overall, it's not so bad. The changes that they've made, again, some are good, some are bad. Some are more entertainment focused than racing focused, but that's just the way a lot of the fan base, especially the new fan base, is probably going to look at NASCAR.
Yeah, I think you're 100% spot on. Cool to see Homestead kind of early in the season. I know that people love that being towards the end of the playoffs, but I think a March Homestead race is going to be great. Like, you get some really good tracks right off the bat, especially for betting. You're going to Coda, you're going to Phoenix, Las Vegas, Homestead, Martinsville, and then Darlington. I mean, that's a fucking stretch. That's like appointment television. And that's what I think NASCAR is trying to do there. You know what I mean? They're trying to build off the momentum from the 500 and keep it rolling. So yeah, I'm with you there on the Cup Series schedule. And anything else from you of note here on the Cup Series before we quickly just flip through any changes on the Xfinity and Truck Series side as well?
Well, it was super intriguing that, you remember this back in the old days too, when we were younger, Seth. Not only would there not really be any new tracks thrown in, but everything would stay basically at the same time of year. Okay, you're going to get this race this time. Everything just runs status quo. A lot of races were moved around this year compared to where they were from 2024 into 2025. Michigan's earlier in the year this year by a few weeks. Nashville was moved up a bit. You mentioned Coda. Pocono's moved up by about 3 weeks. And then some other races moving later in the year. Bristol Spring is a little later on. Iowa, I think, is at the beginning of August now. Dover is going to be a summer race, which is going to be interesting. I don't even think they raced in the summer there when they had 2 dates. Sonoma's a little later.
They did a June one. I think they did June at Dover at one point, but it was like an early June. It definitely wasn't like a dead summer like it will be out there now.
Yeah, and that'll be intriguing. I mean, when we went down to Dover in April, we stayed at Dewey Beach, and it was pretty dead because it's in
that was a spot.
April.
That was a good little spot.
It was a good spot, but I don't think we're going to be so lucky to get some cheap lodging there again. That'll be interesting to see if people make the trek up from those beaches to go to Dover. And I'm sure that's the case with a lot of these different localities, that these dates are moved in mind of trying to get more of the fan base out there, a different portion of the fan base that maybe it's easier for people to get to Pocono in June than it is July. I don't know, but it's neat to see NASCAR really moving things around. With the broadcast deal, it's going to be a little crazier too. Fox has the first 14 races. Prime has 5, which starts with the Coke 600. TNT gets their 5, which is the in-season tournament. And then NBC rounds it out with your last 14 there for your practice and qualifying. The first half of the year on Amazon Prime, second half of the year on HBO Max and True TV, except for the Clash, the Daytona 500, and the All-Star Race, which Fox wanted to keep. I know you may not remember all that, but go and bookmark that on YouTube. Pull this back up in January when you're starting to think about NASCAR again and figure out where to watch it. Or, I mean, the graphic has it. Look it up online. But that's how the broadcasts are going to work next year, which should also be neat. Getting to see Dale Jr. back in the booth. However, Prime and TNT are going to do things. Going to be fun to watch.
Less Fox would be ideal. I think that's just like the overall NASCAR fan sentiment. Like, even if I would take 5 or 6 more on Prime and TNT if it meant getting rid of Fox. But yeah, I'm excited to at least have those additional partners, and I think they'll do some fun things with it. We've touched on it in the past. I think those are innovative companies. The people over at Turner, the people over at Amazon. So yeah, excited for it, and Yeah, less Fox, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, and it is less Fox. Maybe just give Fox the 500 and then kind of everything else just see you later.
Yeah, come on. You don't need to keep the fucking qualifying of like 4 races. Come on, grow the fuck
Yeah,
up. That's some
that's what
Bush
I
League shit.
think. Well, speaking of broadcast partners and moving on to other series schedules, all the Xfinity races this weekend is the last weekend you can see the Xfinity series on. It'll be USA
Yep.
because it moves to the CW, which is over-the-air television, same as you can get ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, all of those. So that's definitely exciting for Xfinity to get the extra eyes. And their schedule has some neat stuff going on too. Both Xfinity and Trucks are going to go back to Rockingham on Easter weekend. The Cup Series will be off, so all of the focus will be on that. And Xfinity wise, a lot of their schedule matching what the Cup Series does. You still got Talladega in the playoffs and the Roval there, and some other races getting moved around. I see Portland's later in the year there.
Yep.
Overall, it looks like it's going to be a solid Xfinity Series season.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. Like, shout out to CW. They don't get much praise out there on the world of where basic cable's kind of going away. So shout out CW. They have some good programming over there. So excited to have Xfinity kind of just in one place all season. I think will be lit. And yeah, I don't hate this schedule either. Like, I'm going to be honest, we haven't really touched on it, but I think Rockingham is something we need to consider getting to. I think that would be an absolute banger of a track. I'm excited that the Xfinity and Truck Series can really be on display for a full weekend, and we don't have people bitching. I'm so tired of people bitching about us racing on Easter, and I get it, but it'll be awesome just to get down there, having the series down there at Rockingham, such a historical track and one that's meaningful to our sport here.
Yeah, they tried to revive it for a couple of years in the Truck Series a few years back. I don't remember those being bad races. I remember Casey Kane, I think, got a win there.
Yeah,
There's some decent racing there, but it didn't end up lasting, and I'm glad they're giving it a chance and bringing it back.
Yeah, absolutely. We got Rachel checking in saying, "Good evening, IBT family. Just want to say hi before it's back to football." Yeah, hope the football game's going good. Us NASCAR DGents will catch up on that later. Anything else here major from the Xfinity series to you, Elliot? The only other thing I think is like I'm glad they're also going to Mexico City, and that's not just a Cup thing. And the race fans down there do get a Saturday and Sunday. I think that's pretty sick.
Yeah, and I think that could be exciting because I think you're going to see a couple different ringers make an appearance there. I know there's some with the whole Larson and McLaren thing. They're trying to get Pato O'Ward to maybe race in his home country in Xfinity there. Whether that gets done or not, I'm not sure. That's all rumors at this point. But there definitely will be a few really cool, really interesting entries in that race that we just won't be able to see in the Cup Series just because of, different competitive level, different cars, things like that. But it'll definitely be fun to have a nice little support race. And honestly, we've been saying it the last few years that a lot of weekends, it feels like the Xfinity racing is better than the Cup racing. Yeah. So it's really cool that they're getting to new places as well. They're getting to be more accessible broadcast-wise than most of the Cup schedule. You only got to buy a TV antenna, and you can get the CW and get all these races. So hopefully that'll only continue to grow the series as well.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. Xfinity has been great for the wallet, great for the eyes all season. So excited to continue that in 2025. And I think that just leaves us with a Truck Series then.
Yeah, the Truck Series, not always so great on the eyes and not always so great on the wallet, but it'll be great on the schedule this year. They are bumping up from 23 to 25 races next year.
Okay.
They're not going to Mexico City, but they are going to Rockingham. They're going to race the Roval for the first time, which I'd kind of forgotten that they hadn't done. And they're going to go back to Lime Rock Park, road course up in Connecticut. That'll be the first time in quite some time they're back up that way. And they got the Rockingham on Easter weekend, like I mentioned. And overall, a pretty solid truck schedule also.
Yeah, I love going to Rockingham here as well. And then we have IRP continuing to be on that schedule. But Lime Rock Park, that's hitting a very good niche that really doesn't get a lot of play up here, kind of in that Northeast region. So I think that's kind of the highlight on the schedule for me. And just adding 2 more races is great because there are times, especially like this time of year again, it's like I kind of forget about the Truck Series even happening because we have a couple of like 1 or 2 breaks that are 3 or 4 weeks long.
Yeah, I mean, this is the time of year where I think the trucks have maybe raced twice in the last 9 weeks or something. They get a big break in the schedule to the point where their playoffs started like 2 weeks ago, and then they have more off weeks and things like that. Obviously, you're still going to see breaks in the truck schedule, but it is nice to add the races, and it's nice to see some diversity there as well. The Northeast really only been represented lately by New Hampshire. So it'll be cool to see the New England area get some representation. And all these races supposed to be on FS1. So same as usual there. Get to hear, I'm sure, Jamie Little's wonderful commentary, depending on how that goes.
I was just about to say, like, I know I give Fox a lot of shit. I think their truck broadcast is, like, is solid. I think it's the best of their programming, and I've said it before. I've gotten buried on the internet for it. I think Jamie Little is hot on the mic. I think she is very good. Maybe she needs like some better colors with her. I don't need Michael Waltrip out there. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I'm not a big Wally guy. Sorry about it, but yeah, I'm excited, man. Let's get Jamie Little back on the mic. I'm excited. Let's go.
You're on an island on that one.
I am. We just
could
lost
be
subscribers for that.
Yeah. I mean, maybe if Adam Alexander stays at Fox, he gets those races and Jamie Little goes back to the pits. Or I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he's done a few ARCA races and standalone races and has gotten a lot of praise online.
Oh, yes.
Again, I can't remember his name, but I do remember how good he sounds on the broadcast. So maybe even he gets a chance in 2025. But honest to God, I know most of you guys aren't here for the broadcast. We're both communications kids at heart.
Yeah.
So we're nerding out about that a little bit. But I know you guys are here for the racing. So let's go ahead and jump ahead to our horizon forecast for the Watkins Glen preview.
Hey, Michael, it was only 20% chance of rain. I think we got all 20.
So we are headed back to Watkins Glen International, one of the two sort of OG road courses on the Cup schedule, along with Sonoma. 3.45 miles, 11 turns, traditional road course. And your comps are going to be traditional road courses.
Yeah, Sonoma, Coda. That's like really, I think, the hard evidence we can take from this season. You can throw Chicago Street in there as a secondary. You can throw the Roval. Both those are kind of different practices in a way. But yeah, I think I'm definitely drawing most of my comparison here from past Watkins Glen races and Sonoma and Coda, Elliot.
Yeah, I mean, at times I can kind of oversimplify myself and think, well, they're all road courses. They're all going to race the same, right? Definitely not true. Watkins Glen, Sonoma, Coda, like you said, definitely more traditional, while you have your Rovals and your Chicago Street courses, and probably even the tracks we don't go to anymore, like the couple years from Road America or the Indy Road course and things like that, probably have to fall into the secondary tier for me.
Yeah, and I did want to talk about those tires as well. We do have a new treaded tire here.
Yeah.
At first, we were hearing on the internet earlier this year, hey, this going to take out 8 seconds of fall off, book it.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like, okay, it's probably gonna be 2 or 3 seconds of fall off, but something to kind of consider here, Elliot. Austin Cindric, Tyler Reddick, Daniel Suarez, all three playoff drivers did test here with this tire at the end of June. So are you handicapping this at all? Or are you favoring guys like the Hamlins, like the Martin Truex Jr.'s who are better at saving tire? Or is this something that we really can't handicap?
It'll be tough to see. We'll have to wait and see how practice and qualifying goes. That's kind of funny that those three guys all tested here, because you're going to hear all three of those guys in my bets when we get to the bets later in one way or another. So that makes me feel even better about those picks for what I've picked them for. It is nice that we'll only get to see 2 or 3 seconds instead of like 8 or 9 seconds. We don't want necessarily a tire shit show like Bristol, which was entertaining, but it was more shit show than racing.
Not for the right reasons.
Yeah, and I think, the old heads, like you said, Hamlin or Truex or guys like that, if I hadn't just seen them both throw out clunkers at Atlanta, I'd be way more tempted. But I think I'm finally off the Truex train. And Denny Hamlin, I mean, I'm on Kyle Petty's side with Denny Hamlin. I don't understand what that Atlanta strategy was, and I don't understand how you pick up the momentum quickly enough to, even if he makes it through, to show that you're still a championship contender after that poor of a start.
Yeah, and we can just bang this out right now. The whole Denny Ham, the whole JGR thing. I just don't trust JGR right now. I mean, there has been a lot of. I mean, they had some issues between practice and qualifying. They had 3 guys start in the rear. They've been blowing motors all fucking summer. Like, there's some real issues over there. In that we had the whole engine penalty that was more of a Toyota issue, but I don't know. Shit is not smooth over there at TRD right now, at JGR as a whole as well. So like but the tire wear and the fall off, like it does make me want to favor some of those guys. Chris Bell, also one of those guys, we'll touch on him later, who I feel like is one of these good younger guys with managing the tire. Stan in the chat saying there's a discussion in this space that due to the tire fall off, flipping the stages might not be a thing this time because of the 3 laps of wear will be too much of a detriment. What do you guys think? What do you think?
I hadn't thought of that, but that's a really, really good point that I think we probably will see that. I mean, maybe you'll probably still have a couple of guys, your SVGs or your Allmendingers or like Harrison Burton or some guys who really need to throw Hail Marys, probably give it a try. But that I really hadn't considered that point. So thanks for bringing that up, because I do think you're going to see some guys that need to play it safer points wise.
Yeah.
Probably not flip the stage like that.
Yeah, I think this would be maybe more of something I think we could factor in if it wasn't a playoff race and we are going to have 16 guys who are vying for those stage points, and we know every time if they're in a position they're going to stay out. But yeah, then we have guys like Allmendinger, like SVG, who are pretty much Juan Pablo Montoya, who are going to be pitting, and maybe trying to flip it. But I mean, yeah, the 3 laps could change a lot of things. That's a great point there, Stan. I appreciate you pointing that out, man. Looking at the schedule for this weekend, Elliot, 11:30 a.m. Eastern time, Cup practice and qualifying. I think they actually get like a fair amount of time to practice this weekend, which is cool. I'm excited to see that Saturday morning, 3 p.m. Eastern time, Xfinity Series race, the Mission 200 at the Glen. Then on Sunday, we're going bowling at the Glen, 3 p.m. Eastern time, lap 20, lap 40, and lap 90 are those stage breaks and the end of the race there as well. I did want to look at some trends here to round us out here as well, Elliot. Hendrick Motorsports has won the last 5 at Watkins Glen. I didn't realize that until coming into this week. And they also have swept the road courses this season, even if you factor in Chicago Street and your boy Alex Bowman's win there. Is it Hendrick's race to lose after hearing that, you think?
No doubt about it. I think, like you mentioned, it's not just that they haven't lost there since 2017. They haven't lost on a road course all year. And it's not just, hey, Chase Elliott went and won all the road courses.
Yeah.
It's everybody but Chase Elliott has won at least one road course race this year. So, I mean, there's a couple other guys I'd consider for the outright, but especially if you read the Between Bets article that'll go out tomorrow on the site, I'm Hendrick this week for sure with the stats.
Well, then you also factor in that last year's winner, William Byron, he owns the course record here for in-race lap time. Kyle Larson, 5th all-time here in starting position. And then Chase, Willie B, and Rowdy are all in the all-time top 10 for starting position here as well. So, I mean, Rowdy's not a Hendrick guy anymore, but, he's still a Chevrolet, so something to keep in mind there. We do have 9 active race winners here, which is a high number compared to what we get most weeks here. That includes Dinger and Juan Pablo Montoya, though, as well. So that was pretty cool, I thought, to see. And also, we have 6 drivers who have in the past gone back-to-back at Watkins Glen. So if you are considering a William Byron back-to-back here, Kyle Larson's done it. Chase Elliott's done it. So more fuel to the Hendrick fire there, Elliot.
Yeah, hammer down on that 24, it sounds like, for sure. And it will be fun. Of course, Allmendinger's coming back to the Cup Series, but in his last gas was road course ringer this year. It'll be fun to see guys like him and Montoya. And, it's a hell of a lot more fun to watch SVG on a road course than it is to watch him run 25th all day at Atlanta and Darlington.
Yeah, he's getting better. And I think he is that X factor that we got to keep in mind, SVG. Jason, what's up, Jason? Good to see you, buddy. Saying William Byron, I think, this week. Yeah, I think William Byron's going to have a lot of love. Seeing a lot of money come in on him across the internet as well. So no doubt about it. Winners come from here, front row, 25% of the time. I thought that was actually a little low. Top 5, 67% of the time, and then top 10, 76. So those are about, I would say, pretty standard. Top 5, that's a bit higher than usual. Usually we're in the 50s. But nobody has ever won this race starting outside the top 20, Elliot. So all I'll say is that, be careful with your pre-flop outrights. Be careful with your there's value on the board. I think we have to attack, but at the same time, I'm not laying 3 units down on someone to win this race, because if they qualify outside the top 20, trends say their shot is slim.
The only counterpoint I have to that is maybe there's never been a winner outside the top 20, but there's probably never been a Watkins Glen race like we're going to see with this tire fall off and this new tire that we're supposed to see out there. So I do think, though, if you're poor enough to qualify outside the top 20, you're probably not going to be good enough, even with tire craziness, to get up there. Yeah. But I'm just saying you can't totally rule it out this week, just because there's some element of the unknown, which is exciting for a place like Watkins Glen that's kind of sort of in the same sort of place forever.
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to round us out with just a little bit more Hendrick bias here with our iFantasyRace.com asterisk mark driver of the week. It is Chase Elliott this week. And keep in mind, if you're looking back at the stats from last season, you're like, all right, I don't want to bet Chase Elliott finished 32nd here. Well, he was actually a top 5 contender last year at Watkins Glen. In that race, Elliott started 15th, finished stage 2 in 7th. And then on lap 55, while running 7th, Elliott famously ran out of gas, ending his playoff hopes, throwing the only caution in the race, dooming him from then on, Elliott.
Yeah, and I had to go back and look that up because I was like, with how good Chase has been at Watkins Glen, I was very surprised that he had such a poor finish there. But of course, so easy to forget. Runs out of gas there. Would have had another top 10 run going, even if not a win. But I'm sure they'll keep that fuel tank of the number 9 a little more full this time around.
Yeah, him and Blaney got to be going around like all the races now, just making sure that they are always fuel saving a little bit. We got Chuck in the chat saying, don't forget to like, subscribe, and send some super chats if you're a fan of IBT. I appreciate it, man. Very, very much appreciate that. Thank you. All right. Also, Charles saying, happy to see Seth in something other than the Sam Mayer shirt, and Elliot isn't repping Bowman swag this week. Yeah, what do you little SVG love for you?
Well, SVG, it's a road course, and with him being in that 88 car next year, I think you'll see some more SVG love. But hey, we're always repping the Bowman swag here.
Yeah,
I always do that with my finger. And honest to God, we're just what we do. And this is how you got the Mayer shirt, I think, and how you got another shirt you have, Cole Custer. Whenever we go to the tracks, we look at the clearance rack, and even if it's a guy that we don't love a whole lot, we're like, oh, it's a racing shirt. We do a racing shirt every week. We don't want to wear the same stuff all the time.
Yeah.
We don't need to rep our favorite drivers every week. I got a Noah Gregson shirt at Pocono. SVG, before all the SVG stuff really came out about him going full-time in Cup, and we've got some versatility. You got that JRM polo a couple weeks ago, and I think that'll only continue to grow for sure.
Yeah. No, and I do have bad news about my Sam Mayer shirt. Unfortunately, I was cleaning the grill, stained it up a little bit on the back. The girlfriend tried to get the stain out. It didn't come to fruition really. So it's around the house and on the stream because you can't see the stain from the front of the shirt. So you'll be seeing more of that, okay. Chuck. Don't you worry about it. Don't you worry about it. What do you say, Elliot? Should we start throwing down some bets here?
Yeah, man, we've distracted enough with this BS. I know everyone's here for the bets, so let's get to it. So I think we both kind of share the same opinion of the books this week, especially down in the lower series. There may not be a whole lot of value, but where there is, we got to hammer that shit because it's good.
Yeah. Like I'm definitely drinking some juice, I feel like, this week. I do like some of the outright plays in the Cup Series that we'll talk about. Not a ton of awesome matchups. I thought across the board, I thought the books did a really good job of picking guys who are good at Watkins Glen versus guys who are good at road courses. I saw a lot of that across it as well. And I mean, absolutely fucked us. Absolutely motherfucked us in the Xfinity series. I love Xfinity road course betting. I love watching those races. Probably my favorite of the entire series, perhaps. And we have an all-star cast down there. We got Zilich, we got Gibbs, we got Byron, we got Almirola. We got the boys coming.
We got Austin Green, too.
We got Austin AG, baby. AG. But, it's just, SVG's plus 125, plus 110 at places. And even everyone else I want to bet, too. Like, for a top 5, top 10, you're, looking at even money and minus money. And I just, so that was kind of a bummer. That was like my one. That felt like a gut punch to me. So I think I'll probably be betting more college football this week than Xfinity series, unfortunately.
Yeah, fair enough. Those odds aren't too fun, but we will still talk about them a little bit after we get into the Cup Series stuff. In the outright market, man, I already said it. It's a Hendrick Motorsports week. And that's really about all I considered. You have Larson. Best I saw was plus 625 at BetMGM. Of course, he won here 2 of the last 3 years. Damn good at road courses. Kind of boom or bust on road courses. Chicago didn't go too well for him. William Byron, the defending winner here, plus 750 over on DraftKings. The whole back-to-back trend, I like that for Willie B. Chase Elliott out at plus 1,000. Watkins Glen, probably his best road course, even though he's the only Hendrick guy who hasn't won at a road course yet. And I think his last road course win, was it even all the way back to 2021, or maybe he got one in 22. And then Bowman is at plus 3,500. I would feel like those odds are maybe a little disrespectful, but then you look at Watkins Glen and you realize he may be good at other road courses, may have won Chicago, but he's been pretty shitty at Watkins Glen, so I understand it. But I still think it's a Hendrick game this week for the most part.
Yeah, I'll tell you what though, and it's like it's so hard to split the difference between those guys. And you have SVG, who's a wild card, and we have
Yep.
Kyle Busch, a two-time winner here, who's running hotter than anyone right now. So to me, honestly, Elliot, like I just hammered the Chevrolet to be the winning manufacturer minus 139, because then I get the whole Hendrick clan. You can get them for like plus 185 at Bet Rivers as well. I went 3 units on Chevy because then I'm also getting SVG.
Yeah.
We know SVG. We don't need to talk about him too much. And then Kyle Busch, 2 wins at the Glen here, average finish of 3.75 over the past month coming into this. So I'm getting rowdy. I'm getting SVG. I'm getting the whole Chevrolet banner. Let's wave the flag, baby. 3 units down. Let's go. And minus 139. I think that's for everything you get. I think that's a fair price.
Yeah, normally I am totally against any sort of minus money manufacturer odds. Normally I love to go for the long shots, but the way the books roll out this week, like you said, Chevy, those are even better odds at minus 139. I had see minus 150.
Yeah.
You get let's say 7 of the 10 guys that are probably going to win are in that Chevy camp. Toyota, I saw plus 225, so somewhere around there. You've got maybe
then you can just bet
good.
We can just bet the Toyota guys that we like. Then that's what I'm doing. If a Ford wins, it could be Austin Cindric, that sneaky snake. I've been thinking about him all week in the back of my mind. Once again, he won't leave. But besides like a guy like that or McDowell, maybe Busher,
those two are the only two that I even considered for Ford, and neither of them are very likely to win. Neither of them are playoff drivers.
No.
So even though normally I would hammer the long shot, and sometimes that would work, I'm all in on betting Chevy this week for sure.
Do you have anything on any of the Toyotas? Because I will say 14-1 on Christopher Bell at Caesars is fucking crazy. I did invest there, 0.7 of a unit. And then also top 10. This is my bet of the week. I had another bet of the week earlier with Chevy. I think that's probably they're my co-bets of the week this week. But minus 143, Chris Bell, top 10 at Bet Rivers. I went 3 units down on that too. I mean, that is a fucking insane number. Like he's minus 200, 250 other places. Christopher Bell, Elliott, 3rd in the next gen total speed rankings, coming from ifantasyrace.com. 4th in the total speed rankings last year at this track, 5.0. Fastest late in the run last year. So he was fast at the end of a run. If we need a guy who can manage tires, it looks like Christopher Bell can probably do it. 5.4 average running position, 5th best, finished 3rd, and finishes at the Glen Cup. 3rd, 8th, 7th. So he's done it 3 out of 3 times. He's gotten you that top 10. Hedge yourself there. Get a little invested on the outright. Road courses this season. He almost tracked down Byron at Coda. We all remember that. One more lap, he had that race won. 9th Sonoma, not the best run for him. And then was in position to win at Chicago as well before getting wrecked. Also, Chris Bell coming in here, Elliott. I know I said Kyle Busch is the hottest driver. Chris Bell, P6 or better in 5 of the last 6 races. I mean, he's printing money right now.
Yeah, I was almost, my gut instinct was to kind of fade Chris Bell, but then looking at the stats, I mean, I agree with you. He's definitely going to run up front. The Toyota, I like a little more than that. That was Tyler Reddick. Obviously, the odds aren't as good. 8-1 over to MGM, I saw. 3 for 3 career for top 10s here. Still just as red hot as ever. I know Bell's been red hot, but Reddick's only been outside, I think, like the top 8, only at Daytona in the last 3 months. So he's on just an absolutely insane run. 2311's in the news for a lot of things right now. I think a checkered flag and advancing the regular season champion to the next round would be a hella good reason to keep it in the news again. What am I throwing at the hella a lot tonight? I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah. 6 top 5s in the last 8 races for Tyler Reddick. I also sprinkled on him 0.6 of a unit at 8-1. Just kind of that's a hedge for me. Like I would kind of just be getting my Chevy money back in case he wins. But best at traditional road courses this season in the total speed rankings, 2nd at them in the total speed rankings since the start of last year as well. Top 10 at all the road courses this year, and 12 of the 14 next gen road courses, he's been top 10 in it. You can't really bet the top 10 unless you want to parlay it with someone. If you want to go maybe parlay that and maybe like the Washington money line on Saturday, something like that, I think that would maybe be an option. But yeah, I like Tyler Reddick a lot. 3 for 3 in the Cup Series, finishing top 10 here. Those are my hedges. Chris Bell and Tyler Reddick. I think if it's not Chevy, it's one of those guys.
Yeah, I think that's basically about where you have to step out of the outright market. I know you mentioned a few placements. Placement-wise, I like the Chase Elliott top 5, the Glen's his best road course. I don't know that he quite is going to win, but at plus 140, it's not my favorite, but it's definitely on the board for me. Another Toyota that I think could run really well here is Ty Gibbs. His top 5 out at plus 220 over on Caesars. He was 5th last year here. He's motivated after last week having a chance to win at Atlanta. Kind of thrown away. He kind of missed the block, missed that, and the other ends up like 19th there. Good road course driver overall. A couple guys that we talked about earlier, their top 10 bets. Daniel Suarez top 10 is at plus 175. He's had 3 top 5s here. I mean, 2 of them were when he was with Joe Gibbs Racing. Buddy was 5th in 2022, and they're in a good place right now after Atlanta coming up as the runner-up. They've got a better points cushion than they expected. And same with Austin Cindric. We remember how good he's been at road courses when he's been on. His top 10's at plus 190. I don't quite think I like him for the win. He's been kind of unspectacular at the Glen, but riding high after Atlanta and a good road course pedigree. I like those guys to surprise again and keep a good playoff run going and really put them both into a great spot heading into Bristol.
I am scouting ways to get Austin Cindric on my card. I saw a really crazy matchup with him and oh my gosh, who was it? It is ludicrous. He's like 2-1 somewhere, but I just can't pull the trigger on it. It's somewhere. I think it was at DraftKings. I saw it. It might be him against Ty Gibbs, I think is what it is, Elliot. Which that's tough. As we said, we like Ty Gibbs this week. We know Ty Gibbs is going to be fast, so I can't probably go that far, but I like Austin Cindric. I want to get him on my card. And the plus 175 for Suarez, that might not be a bad bet, honestly. I could see him probably being a top 12 to 15 car. I would really like a matchup with Suarez. If you guys have found a matchup with Daniel Suarez, let us know in the chat. I would love to get invested with him because I think you're right. Like they're points racing tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like they're going to try to track position is going to be key for them.
Yeah, believe it or not, I do have a Daniel Suarez matchup on the card here. It's probably not going to be your favorite, though, because it's against Chris Buescher. It has the 99 at plus 115, Buescher all the way down to minus 145. I know Buescher's been good at road courses, but so is Suarez. I think they both are going to run around that, what do you say, 11th to 15th range.
Yeah, that's an interesting poll. I would need to go back and look at their individual Watkins Glen stat, but that might be something to bookmark there for sure. Couple of things here from the chat. Charles asking the floor on the Chevy outright.
Maybe even down to minus 200, dare I say? Would you go that far?
I probably played to minus 155, 160. I like probably 165. That's probably like I'll never really lay a minus 170, but probably. But you're gonna have to lay some units on it, Charles. Like if you're gonna bet it, like that's I think kind of the way you got to go about it. But yeah,
dude, how rare that I'm drinking a bigger glass of juice than you are on a bet. I was all the way down to minus 200. But the way you laid it out, like the 8 most likely drivers to win this race are all in Chevrolets. So
Chevys and then the two Toyotas we took. So it's like if you had yourself with those Toyotas, I'm fine with it. Mark is saying Chris Bell finished top 10 in all 3 of his starts, including 3rd last season. Yeah, absolutely. Cindric top 5 plus 500. It's honestly I don't
know.
Maybe a sprinkle. Like I don't think he can do it. I don't think he can, but 5-1 ain't a bad price, honestly. I'd love to get him in a matchup like against someone like not like Michael McDowell or something, because I think Cindric will hold. Like McDowell is the guy who I think is going to wreck himself out. You know.
Believe it or not, I've also got matchups with both of those guys involved too. We're same way.
Elliot apparently had some new books in the state that I was not looking at. Yeah, let's do that then.
Come to think of it, I didn't write down where I got these from. I was looking today at Caesars. I was looking on Fanatic Sportsbook, which apparently just opened in PA. I was over on Bet365. I'm all over the place.
You had one job, Elliot. Write the fucking sportsbook down for the viewers. Let's go to matchups, because I do have a hammer over there that I do like. But I'll give you the floor because I'd love to learn more about how I can get invested with either A, fading Michael McDowell, or B, backing Austin Cindric.
Yeah, so I'll just gloss over these ones pretty quickly. The McDowell one, he's plus 105 over AJ Allmendinger, who's listed at minus 135 in that matchup. And this is entirely because of the checkers or wreckers nature that AJ is going to bring, and the fact that the extra collared car has been even shittier than the 2 normal collared cars this year at most of the racetracks, which I still don't love about AJ. I kind of want to be hands-off whenever he's in that 13, just because they've already got resources to SVG. For some reason, they're still putting out Daniel Hemrick every week. I just don't know that it's quite good enough to get him to a good position there to get ahead of McDowell, who's arguably going to be the best Ford driver in this race. And then for Cindric, plus 120 over Ross Chastain, who's at minus 150. Chastain's shown me nothing here to show that he's going to be super spectacular, nor better than Cindric at the Glen.
I actually did see this one and I looked at it, but he is 3 for 3 this season, top 10 at road courses. And Cindric has not done that. So that was kind of the only thing that pulled me off. His Watkins Glen stats, you were right. Cindric, I would give the advantage there. But for me, I can't bet that one either because Ross just been a little too hot at road courses for my liking.
Yeah, I don't blame you there. They all were. I haven't laid anything on any of those particular matchups. They were just all certainly worth discussing. And funny enough, again, same wavelength. You're like, I'd like to find matchups with these guys. Well,
yeah.
Go, Jim.
Donnie saying MTJ, laugh out loud. Listen, dude, like the fall off with the tires, it makes me want to go MTJ. I haven't bet MTJ in probably 3 months, and I've been on the right side of it. I faded him more times than not. Like Elliot's been over here just pouring money into him all fucking season. So
yeah, I'm totally off the MTJ train now. The only other driver-to-driver matchup that I have on my board here is not even because I believe in Chase Briscoe at plus 230 to run better than Truex, who's minus 340 over on DraftKings. It's just because Truex has been such shit, has no momentum on his side, that I'm thinking just about anybody half decent, and especially a fellow playoff driver, can outrun that 19, who's had last year terrible in the playoffs, this year not a great regular season. I'm completely off the Truex train. I can't wait to laugh about it after he goes out and runs third at the Glen or something, but I'm completely off the Truex train now. I know you've been waiting on it forever. I'm finally joining you on the
yeah, this is one race I can't fade him because of the tires. That's the only and DraftKings, I've seen those lines all week, the 2-1 for Cindric versus Gibbs, and like I said, I like Cindric, but not that much that I feel like I can go over Gibbs. And same thing with this MTJ bet. I was like, man, if it was anyone I just don't love Briscoe. I think this week, I think he could be a top 15, top 20 car, but MTJ is higher upside. Like we have to admit that. Like we probably aren't going to get that from him, but yeah, it's tough. Chuck coming down with us 10 units, Chevy outright. All right, buddy. All right, let's go. I appreciate the confidence. I appreciate the confidence there. Chastain top 10 plus 125. It's a no bet for me at that price. Like he could get a top 10, but if you want Chastain, maybe just find a different matchup. I would just rather mess with that. I think he hasn't been in top 10 car as of late.
No.
All right, I want to share my matchup of the week. I was very excited about this one. Zane Smith minus 114 over Carson Hocevar at Bet Rivers. I'm going 2.5 units on it. Zane Smith's average finish at road courses this season, 17.3. Carson Hocevar, 21st. Zane Smith, 3-0 against him. Perfect record. Also, both drove here in the Truck Series in 2021. Again, the equipment might have been in Zane's favor a little bit. He did finish P6. Carson finished P10. But hey, Alney still puts out some fucking fast trucks there as well. I'm not 100% sure if that was Neat's equipment at that time, but if that was Neat's equipment, I think they're even playing field. Zane Smith's average finish over the past 6 races, 17.3, is finished no worse than P23. Carson's is 17.8, just a little bit worse. Carson has had some top 12 runs over that span. I will give him that, but I think here on the road courses, I like Zane Smith. I think he's a good road course racer, and Carson Hocevar just hasn't quite shown me that I think he can be a great road course racer at a traditional course, especially like the Glen here.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I can't fault you at all for that matchup. Zane's stats, even when he was completely in the doldrums, before he'd started running well more consistently, he'd run fairly well on the road courses. And like you said, Hocevar, just not a lot of road course prowess for him. So I do really like that matchup. Even drinking the glass of juice, it's tasty glass of Tropicana you got there.
Yeah, minus 114. That's not too much. That's good.
I even saw Zane Smith as favorites in some groups and a couple of things too. So his prowess is definitely out there. So that's, you're drinking a bit of juice, but I don't blame you at all.
Yeah, and I haven't been one of these guys this season who's bet a bunch of these shit boxes running in the back, but it's like I was actually looking at Zane Smith's stats this week for whatever reason. I was like, man, he's ran good. And I remember at an earlier road course this season, I wanted to bet him for a top 10. I didn't have quite the nerve to do it, and then he did finish top 10. I was like, man, I wish I would have done that or found a matchup. So we got the matchup on the table. So yeah, that's really everything I currently have on my card, Elliot. Like I said, I'm on that matchup, Zane Smith, Carson. I'm hammering Chevy to win this. I got some hedges with Chris Bell and Reddick. the Reddick top 10 or the Chris Bell top 10 I like as well. But that's everything I have. Do you have anything else in matchups or groups or in the special department here?
The only other group I have worth mentioning, and surprisingly, no specials on the card for me this week. Who am I and what have I done with Elliot Hicks? I have no idea. No specials. Bet365 Group C. We've talked a bit about both Daniel Suarez and Chris Buescher. They're at the bottom of a group, both at plus 300. I like them over Kyle Busch, who's at plus 180. I know he's been running well lately, but only one top 10 in the last 4. He was 14th last year. I think they're all going to be guys running anywhere from, let's say, 10th to 17th. And then also in this group is Juan Pablo Montoya at plus 275. I love that he's back. I love to see him. I hope he runs all the laps. I hope he has a good run. I'm glad he's in a 2311 car. It's not a shit box. I think he's way overvalued in this market. I don't think he really has a prayer to top 10 unless the tire management is really crazy and somehow he hits it. I almost look at it like Dale Jr. running in the Xfinity races, when he first started especially. Is there really going to be a chance to win? No. Is it going to be hella fun to see him out there? I've just pulled one of those again. It's going to be fun to see the 50 car with JPM out there. But there's no way I'm throwing any financial stake in it. That's for sure.
If I can find at some point later this week, we have a couple books that have not released their matchups yet. If there's one for Juan Pablo Montoya out there, please, folks, go fade him. Again, we all like Juan Pablo. It's a great story, but I mean, we saw old Boris said out there, poor guy, fucking, 6-year-old.
There's a big difference, though. I mean, Boris said one Xfinity win, Juan Pablo Montoya, multi-time Cup winner, Indy 500 winner, Formula One champion.
Sure, we also saw Clint Boyer we also saw Clint out there in a truck, and not that he was dog shit or any means, but it was the one thing I had. The thing about Clint was how many Busch Lights he drinking had, over the last 5-6 years since he's been out of the car. And it's not that I think Juan Pablo is boozing like Clint is, but I think time might have passed him by. So yeah, I don't hate that. All that to say, I don't hate that group, honestly. I do like Kyle Busch, I think more than you do, that I wouldn't be comfortable taking that bet, but I think those are fine numbers on both Suarez and Buescher, and you could bet both of them. And if one of those guys wins, you're making money.
Yeah, and I mean, don't rule it completely out for Montoya. He's been out of NASCAR for I think 10 years now, full time, but he's been doing some other full time racing and just now stepped out of full time competition. This season is his first partial year because he's helping his son race Sebastian in I think F3 this year. Okay. So he's in that path now, but maybe there's still some you can teach an old dog new tricks after all, but just at the way he's being valued, I just don't see any value at all to throw any on him.
Yeah, that's why if he does pop up in a matchup, he's going to be up against someone he shouldn't be up against, and I think that's when you strike. So
that's the same with this group.
Yeah, not trying to throw shade on a great, I mean, one of the best, when you think about it, one of the best drivers of all time. I mean, how many people won a fucking NASCAR Cup Series race and an Indy 500 too? It's absolutely absurd. So Juan Pablo is the man. I'm excited to see him back, but overvalued in the markets for sure this week.
No doubt. Dude, I know you're not liking let's go ahead. Yeah, with some more Cup comments.
CY Ty saying during testing on this track, with the tire composition, Reddick spun out twice, as did some of the others, saying maybe there will be plenty of cautions. Yeah,
I'm sure there'll be plenty of spins. I don't know if there'll be plenty of cautions, but you definitely will see a couple guys just kind of lose it in the corner, and if they don't destroy their car, kind of pull out, get going again, like we've seen. I definitely think there's going to be way more attrition with that too, and you definitely aren't going to see only one caution or no natural cautions in the race.
Well, if we also remember too, they did kind of reconfigure the bump stop out on this track as well. If you remember, they changed some things up there, so they won't be going over the same bumps they were before. So could see some dangerous things happening. And honestly, Watkins Glen's always good for a couple of spin outs. We see it every single year, especially in these lower series. So but great point though. It's great to be plugged into that type of information, Ty. So I appreciate you providing that with us. Looks like you might be a Tyler Reddick fan then, I'm guessing.
That looks like a Ty Gibbs car in the profile picture. So.
Okay. All right. Either way, we appreciate hanging out with us, man. I'm gonna before we get done here, we're gonna do a giveaway too, so we'll make sure we run through that, and I'll add you guys all to that. Everyone who's commenting here tonight, just let us know if you are new to here and you haven't commented before, and we'll get in that. You want to go Xfinity racing then? You said.
Yeah, let's go and roll with that. But yeah, if you like the hat I've got on, we got it at Pocono from the Great American Getaway 400. You're not getting the one right off my head. I know you don't want that one. We got a fresh one over here, and you'll get some other goodies too that we'll go through before the giveaway is drawn here in just a few minutes. But yeah, Xfinity odds. I know you don't like him very much, and I don't like him very much either. But the top 6 drivers in the odds, one of these 6 guys is going to win the race. You got SVG at plus 115, which that's just an anemic number, especially for an outright. Ty Gibbs is at plus 375. Always riskier for the guys who are coming down. William Byron's at plus 600. The Hendrick 17 is able to get wins at road courses. AJ Allmendinger at plus 800. It just hasn't been there for AJ this year. Finally got his first stage points and playoff points, or not stage points, first stage win and playoff points of the season last week at Atlanta, which just shows you how it's gone for AJ. Connor Zilic going to be in his Xfinity debut in that 88 car, which we know is going to be fast, but plus 850 for an outright in your Xfinity debut, I don't quite know. Sam Mayer down at plus 1,800. That's about where it ends for me. Mayer's won some road courses before. This year it hasn't been so strong, but those are kind of the numbers. Mayer and maybe whatever Austin Hill is at. Otherwise, there's really no touch in this Xfinity outright market because anybody that can win, you're drink. I mean, for SVG, I don't feel like drinking the whole gallon and a half of Tropicana. Like I can't do that. Can't chug it.
No, you just can't. You can't bet. Really, like there are a few times I think you can really get below a 2-1 and feel good about it. I would bet a plus 175 on him if we could find that. Like I think I did that for him at the Chicago Street Course, and I just hammered it. And at that point we were still getting even money, top 3s for him too that you could hedge yourself a little bit with. We're not getting that. I think the top 3s for him are like what minus 200 still. Like it's insane out there. It sucks. And I think you're dead on. Like, if you want to take a shot on like a plus 125, Connor Zilic, top 5, you be my guess. I like the kid. I think he's super talented. First time in an Xfinity car. It is a little bit risky. This is a little bit of an upgrade over the competition he was facing in the Truck Series earlier this season when we saw him there and what he's kind of been doing in ARCA on non-road courses as well. So I don't love that number, but I like Zilic. I like Sam Mayer's number. I'm going to be honest, 20-1 I think is worth a sprinkle. I'll probably be taking a sprinkle on that in the outright. Like I'm probably talking like less than a quarter of a unit, and I'll probably maybe take a little stab at the top 5 for Sam Mayer, and that's probably all I'm going to have on my card just because like I can't trust Byron either. He's just been so bad in the Xfinity Series, but he should be great. He's the defending Cup Series winner here.
Yeah, I think it run well, but you're right. It just kind of cursed. The top 5 bets that I do like, though, and these guys haven't pulled it off consistently because they're not in Xfinity consistently. You've got Ed Jones is going to be in the Sam Hunt number 26. His top 5 I saw plus 2,200. He was 5th at Portland and then 15th at Sonoma. But the guy I like a lot more is Austin Green in that Jordan Anderson number 32 car. He's run 4 Xfinity races this year, and he's finished 7th, 15th, 4th, and 10th. And he ran, I think the 10th was Chicago. He was flirting with that top 5 for sure. Most of the afternoon ended up fading back a little bit to 10th. His top 5 is a plus 1,500. He's one where I wish Xfinity had top 10s because I would throw just a ridiculous amount of money on an Austin Green top 10, whatever it would be. The way he's run, the top 5 is a little riskier, but plus 1,500, I think that's where I'm finding my value in Xfinity this week.
Yeah, I think it's taking sprinkles this week. It's taking some long shot sprinkles and, crossing your fingers maybe for potential little chaos. Ty pointing out here in the chat too as well. Ty owes Mayer from last year. Yeah, definitely does. Definitely does. And that's the one thing I think we have to keep in mind if you are betting Mayer this week. I think it is low units because not only does he have potential enemy out there on the track in Ty Gibbs this week, Mayer also hasn't been the best at road courses this season, Elliot. He's had great starts. He started on the pole, I remember, at Portland, and then it was lap 1. He got dumped by SVG, brought himself all the way back. I had a top 5 bet on him, I remember, and then got cut down a tire with like a lap to go. So just kind of had some bad luck out there. I think it's something you need to keep in mind out there for Sammy ball game.
Yeah, and he's run well at times too. I remember he was up front on the late restart at Coda. I had a live bet riding on him, so I was excited about that. But then just wasn't quite good enough for SVG and Hill and those guys running up front. I think he was on different tires, some sort of different strategy there too. So the possibility's out there, but there's a reason that his odds are more like, maybe we should take a look, and not the ridiculous odds that we see for the front runners.
Yeah, you're not hammering it, just a sprinkle there. Anything else from you from the lower tier series here?
No, but I will throw out 2 fun ones from that are a bit assorted. If you're still following F1 or you haven't really been following F1, remember Max Verstappen would always be minus this and minus that, winning every damn race. It's not like that anymore. And now you can get a Max Verstappen outright at plus 550 to win this weekend in Azerbaijan. I think it's another track that's really tough to pass on, but Red Bull's won the last 3 there, but also they've won the last however many tracks before your McLarens and your Ferraris and your Mercedes have started winning races. But it's just crazy to see Max Verstappen with those kind of numbers. And because I'm not on next week, I don't know what the number is. I don't care what the number is. I'll be at Lost Lands Music Festival, and before I leave the state of Pennsylvania, I will throw the fuck down on the Dale Earnhardt Jr. outright.
Let's go.
I don't care who
Let's
you are.
go.
I will throw the fuck down on that. Is it completely irrational based on complete false hope from last year running up front and catching on fire? Of course it is, but god damn it, was that fun. And damn it, is it going to be fun to see him out there for one lap, probably one last time in the Xfinity Series. Going back to Bristol, bring the same damn car. Just make sure it's wired right. Don't let it catch on fire. And we can see Junebug roll out there one last time with some fun.
We're telling you a week in advance. Wear your JRM, wear your Dale Jr. gear next week on the back road. Come hang out. I'm gonna have my JRM gear. Katie, we got her a Dale Jr. Xfinity shirt as well when we were down there visiting the race shop. So yeah, wear your fucking gear. Let's have a fucking time. I'll ride with you. I'm telling you right now. I don't care what the price is either. I'm riding with you, buddy.
The only difference is you'll put about a quarter of an outright, and I'll put 2.5 on it. But hey, I'm going to be rolling with it too. I got the junior shirt from this year, big old jar mayonnaise on the back of it. I'll be the only idiot at an EDM festival in Ohio based around dinosaurs and shit. I'll be in a NASCAR shirt. I'm sure that'll be fun. Got to rep your guys, you know.
Chuck saying Xfinity group bet with Mayer, Custer, Creed, and Kligerman. That's a tough one just because, like, I mean, Custer's decent on road courses, and Creed actually has a pretty hot streak going on road courses as well recently. So, and Kligerman plus 250. That's a fine. If I could get a 3-1, if I could maybe find that at 3-1, I'd consider that. But that's not a bad bet. I don't hate that one, Elliot. Honestly,
yeah,
I'd rather just bet the top 5 though, because I think one of those other guys could be a top 5 maybe.
Yeah, Mayer's probably the way to go. I know Kligerman announced he's not going to be pursuing full-time racing at all next year. He's going to go out with going to try to go out with a bang. You know, when you have that sort of power to not have to look for a ride next year, you can kind of roll around no fucks given. So I think we could see that from that Big Machine 48 on the Xfinity side this year. Watch out for him at Talladega, but Watkins Glen, I'm not so sure.
Charles saying I'm also going to be at Bristol. Who's joining me? Man, I would love to. Yeah, let Chuck know, man. Make sure you guys are connecting here. That's part of this program is we want other people, other race fans, other NASCAR bettors connect with each other, connect with us as well. What do you say, man? Should we go and round out the show here with a little tire tier action?
Yeah, let's roll on with the tire tiers.
All right, let's do it.
All right, so you're bored this week, driver change-wise at least, and the number 15 is Kaz Grala for RWR. SVG is in the 16, and AJ Allmendinger in the 13 for Colleague, and Juan Pablo Montoya is in the number 50. Seems like a fairly easy place to start here with at least one or two of these Hendrick guys in the A's, yeah?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much exactly where you got to start off here is throw the Hendrick guys up there, other than your boy Bowman, of course. Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson 10-5. Like, I think the prices are fair, honestly. Like, I would honestly almost maybe put Byron behind Chase personally, just because I think I'd rather have Chase for the 10 flat. I don't know if you agree with me as well.
Yeah, I mean, with the price differences, that certainly makes sense.
SVG, I think he's got to be tier A, and I think the Toyota boys have to be tier A as well. Chris Bell. Chris Bell is probably my favorite play on the slate, 9,300. He's been an absolute fucking weapon in DFS as of lately as well. Chris Bell also, too, something to keep in mind. He doesn't qualify like as good as some of these other guys. Like Larson, Chase, Byron, all these guys are going to qualify very well here. I don't expect Christopher Bell to qualify as well. So it gives you a little bit of a differential cushion there as well. Mallory in the chat saying my Thursday night comment for the algorithm boost. We appreciate it, Mal. Thanks for tuning in with us. Elliot, any issue with that top tier there? Anyone else you think that belongs?
No, I think the order is probably about the way it should be too. I can understand wanting to move Bell or Reddick ahead of SVG, but I think these are your top 6 here. And then in the Bs, I mean, we got to throw Ty Gibbs up there at some point soon. Allmendinger, I think Bowman's fair in the Bs. And do you have any other argument for an A, I guess, before I start filling the B tier by myself?
No, I think that's everything from an A perspective. I'm honestly going to say it. Kyle Busch, he's just been so damn hot. 8,800, I think, is a fine deal for a guy who's won races here. I'd rather play him over Dinger. You're getting a discount. I'd rather play him, honestly, maybe potentially over Ty, but I get why you're throwing Ty right where you are as well, because Ty has been damn good here. Those are really my I honestly, like, those are my top guys there. Like, maybe Danny Suarez and Cindric are two other guys just because they are 79, 7,700. I would consider for a low B or a high C, depending how you want to tier it off here. But like, those are kind of my plays right now.
Yeah, I think they're worthy of a B, not only because it lines up nice having 6 in each tier, but it'd be different if they hadn't run so well and put themselves in a great spot to start the playoffs at Atlanta. And I know starting with the super speedway, you can kind of throw out some false flags, but it wasn't a case of they went out there, survived through chaos, ended up at the front because they weren't running up front. They were running up front all damn day. The 99, the 2, the 48, guys that we really weren't expecting to run well early in the playoffs were able to set themselves up way better than most considered. And they just so happen to all be fairly decent on the road courses as well. Maybe I'm too high on them because of that, but I definitely think they're worth the watch and worth the price.
Maybe a guy we're selling short this weekend, and you know, Brian makes a great point here in the chat saying you better put the 13 in the A tier. Question in the B tier move. He did already beat the 16 already once this season. That's some bullshit though. Let's be honest there, Brian. If NASCAR,
that was Chicago, right?
Yeah, come on.
They should not have had those cars out there. And I mean, that was one of the couple things in the Chicago street race that just completely changed the entire course of the way the race was going to go. I mean, I know Larson didn't wreck till later, but you had SVG taken out. You had other guys get mad at other guys for wrecking into other people. I'm not going to mention any names, but that was really a mess of a 2 laps that NASCAR knows that they should not do again, would not do again. And it's pretty damn fucking sure SVG would have been ahead of Allmendinger. I think I'm okay with moving AJ to the front of the Bs, but I don't think he's on the same tier as the 16. I don't think Kaulig is able to put him on the same tier as the 16. They've shown that in Xfinity, and they've shown that in Cup this year, trying to throw. AJ's really getting the sloppy seconds here, we'll say, for lack of a better term, at Kaulig right now.
Yeah, AJ has been, like, honestly super consistent the last 2 races here in the next gen era. At Watkins Glen, 4th last year, 2nd the year before in 2022. Maybe not from a DFS perspective, but I'm seeing him now out of Bet Rivers -122 for a top 10. Like, -122. That you don't think, Elliot? I think that's might be worth a look, honestly. Or do you just not trust this 13 team that much?
I just don't think that Kaulig has enough to put out 2 race-winning race cars in the same.
I don't need a race winner. I need a top 10 here.
With how everyone else you kind of have to be race-winning kind of to be able to run top 10 in a race like this. Maybe again the tire fall off's a whole different thing. If you have the beautiful combination of great road course racer plus great tire manager plus halfway decent equipment to make it. I mean, AJ barely scrapes in with that. But, I mean, that gives the 13 an advantage, but it just hasn't been that way on the road courses this year.
Yeah.
On the Xfinity side, it'd make me feel better if it was every single race. It was SVG and it was Allmendinger battling up front. Or if it was Allmendinger kicking ass on road courses like he has been, it hasn't been happening in Xfinity. And, again, maybe part of that's morale. He's like, I don't want to fucking run Xfinity. He'll be coming back to Cup. SVG will be off the track house. They won't have to worry about him there. Just for the rest of the year, really, AJ in either series. I mean, to make a broader point here than just the DFS, I don't know that I really can be that heavy on him.
I will say this too, looking at least the traditional road courses here, his finishes: Sonoma 6, Coda 6. Making the note here, Brian, is that he did beat the 13 fair and square at Coda. Yeah, he did. Yeah, Charlotte Roval 1st, Watkins Glen last year 4th. So. And I'm pretty sure, was AJ also top 10 at the street course this year as well, if I'm correct on that? I believe he was.
If he wasn't, he was close. I know that, but you could be right.
And if so,
I was a little distracted. I wasn't worried about anybody below like 3rd place that race. So
yeah, and yeah. So if there's honestly, like, I'm going to be betting that top 10 number now. I think that's a really good number. I think I'll probably be betting that. So, Brian, I appreciate you pointing out a little Dinger love. We definitely didn't give him enough love, and I'd honestly be even curious maybe to see what his outright price is, honestly, too. Yeah, 15-1. That might be okay. That might be okay.
That might be a little nuts, but it is also a good point, though, that I mentioned this earlier in the show, that sometimes I can overgeneralize the road courses and not realize that Watkins Glen is a hell of a lot different from the Chicago street course. And even like Coda is a hell of a lot different than the Chicago and than Watkins Glen. So AJ on the traditional road course is definitely more of a threat. I just still think my points stand on that. Is he an A driver? Maybe. I still
yeah.
like
Yep. Give him the B+. I'm cool with that. TK saying, what's up, TK? Good to see you, man. Saying AJ qualified better at Coda, was coasting in the top 10 all day. SVG was climbing into the top 10, speeding penalty, his weakness. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And then SVG lost first gear there. So, I totally get that one. So, kind of tough to say, straight up who I would take him in a match, but luckily we don't have to. A driver, C equipment for sure. All right, man. Who for the C tiers? And we are getting some pushes from Sci-Tie here for maybe a Busher tier 2. Is that something you can get behind? A little C Bush?
Yeah, I mean, the guys off the top of my head for the C's are like Busher, Truex, Hamlin, maybe Keselowski, maybe Logano.
Yeah, I mean, Busher's so damn consistent, and the thing with him too is I feel like he's not always starting the best of these road courses, but he's been top 10 in 4 straight road courses, not counting Chicago, dating back to the Glen last year. So I think Busher's super consistent.
Mm-hmm.
What about Denny? Is Denny someone we should be considering here? Because when you look at the price tag for Denny, it's still more expensive than I'd like to pay, 8,100. But he did finish second here. Now we get a tire that has more fall off. Denny Hamlin is the king of tire wear.
Yeah, I do think Denny's worth looking to see. I feel like we got to give some love to McNasty. I know at 8,500, that's maybe a little more than I want to pay, but
agreed. Probably
one of the better Fords here and an underrated road course racer. Even still, I feel like, even though only one top 10 career at the Glen, that still might be enough for me.
I also think Ryan Blaney is someone we could be considering for here as well. I mean, talk about a guy who necessarily isn't a great road course racer, but let's just go through his road course starts as of late. Sonoma, 7th. Coda, 12th. Roval, 12th. Glen last year, 9th. In Indy road course, 13th. So, I mean, over the past 12, 14 months, he's been damn solid on the road courses. He's in a position 2, Elliot, which is advantageous for NASCAR bettors and fantasy managers. Like, he's just trying to not fuck up. Like, he knows he's probably not going to fucking win the Glen. He's just like trying to go out there and continue to build this points cushion that he's building up.
Yeah, he's definitely a guy that will go for the stage points and just hope to stay out of trouble for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. A push for Briscoe here. What do you think about Briscoe? Sci-Tie saying Briscoe's a pretty good road courser. He definitely is, but his stats at Watkins Glen in the Cup Series, best wrecked out last year, or didn't wreck out, but finished 35th, so damn close to it. Finished 25th the year before. Did win a stage, though, if you remember, in that 2022 race. So maybe a little intrigue for Briscoe there. Again, I guess the stage wins don't always count because, they count, but, they're like, might be some bullshit people pitting. And then he finished 9th in his debut here in the Cup Series. So what do you think about Briscoe? Can you get behind it?
Maybe. I mean, he's an underrated road course guy in some aspects, but we don't go to the Indy road course anymore, and that's really, really where he showed his prowess. Other than that, unspectacular. I don't hate Briscoe, but do I like Briscoe over like a Chastain, a Keselowski, a Logano enough to go into the C's rather than join them in the D's? I don't know.
He's 7,100 though, so he is a bit cheaper. But Blaney is 7,400. So
yeah,
crack him out open in the D's. Put him in the D's. I think that's a good place for him, is to start him out there in the D's. And I know we talked on Alex. We didn't really talk on Alex Bowman. We kind of just threw him up there. 7,600 for Bowman. Like, that's kind of a steal this week. I know he's not a big Glen guy. I would be interested there.
The series leader in points scored on road courses this year, and really it's the last one he's got to figure out. Again, I don't know where my damn glasses are. You have to understand that I have that little bit of Bowman fan / watching Bowman closely. But I know that he's good at road courses, but also kind of shitty at the Glen. But I think the Hendrick Motorsports thing at the Glen, and again, it's the same thing with Suarez and Cindric, that I'm probably overvaluing the 48 a little bit because he showed up and didn't lay an egg at Atlanta like those two.
Yeah. Agreed with you. I think Logano, for the price you're getting Logano as well, 7,300. He's right there by Blaney. Finished 10th last year, third the season before, won stage 2 that year as well. He's been leading laps here at the Glen. I think we're almost even. I would almost push. I'd rather play Logano than McDowell and Hamlin and Truex. Honestly, like I'd move the Penske guys up right behind Buescher. If you want to put MTJ ahead, and then that's cool too. But I
That
like.
makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, I trust them more. I don't think they have the upside these other guys do. I think like Hamlin,
lower ceiling, higher floor for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes that's all you need in DFS is you are playing for floor with those auxiliary drivers there. I also would say in the D's, I think throw in Zane Smith, man. We talked about him. He's going to be a top 20 car, or he should be at least. And all the way down at fucking 5,700, the seventh lowest driver on the board this week.
That's almost insulting to have him below Josh Berry. I talked about Bowman has the most road course points this year. Josh Berry across the road courses has scored 9 points this season.
Oh,
that's it.
Wow.
So that's disrespectful enough to put Zane behind the 4, even if it's only by 200.
Bubba Wallace is only 6,600 this week. It's the cheapest you're ever going to be able to play him, and he's not a great road course guy, but Bubba's, he's running good right now. He's I don't know how the vibes are over there in 2311 after not signing the charter deal, but
especially with Bubba, the vibes aren't great because his deal is tied to the charter stuff. So if 2311 tries to pull out some charter bullshit, Bubba Wallace probably is out of that ride next year. Like that's a far way away. The charter stuff has only just started. We have no idea what's happening there. But with Bubba's attitude and the way that all sounds and the deep pockets that Michael Jordan has to potentially drag out this charter shit for a long time, Bubba Wallace could get caught in the crosshairs and end up shit out of luck. But whole different conversation there.
Yeah, did finish 12th last season here. I got stage points in both stage 1 and stage 2. So I'm feeling some type of way about Bubba here. I think that's fine for the D's. Yeah, Ross.
He's no longer a liability on the road courses either, which is a few years ago, he was an absolute liability at the road courses to the point where he had to dip down and run Xfinity just to get laps. He's definitely more respectable. And at 6,600, just like you said, with in the same price range as Chastain and Keselowski, some guys that probably needed to go up for housekeeping. They're okay mid-range, but you definitely can find some more value.
Yeah, is there anyone? I would say we drop down to the Fs now, if that's cool with you. There's not really anyone else standing out here to me. I'm not playing Barry this week. I really don't want to get behind AD or Gragson, LaJoy.
I think we probably can lead it off with Juan Pablo Montoya, though. I don't think he'll be disrespectful enough. His price is all the way up at 8,000. So again, that's quite overvalued. But I do think he's worthy of at least putting in the Fs, even if we end up putting guys ahead of him. There's this little like 2 or 3% chance that he goes out there and fucking smokes guys and runs like 6th all day. It could happen, especially because the tire is such an unknown. But again, I think he's overvalued in DFS as well, but he can't be ignored, I feel like, in a 2311 car.
Todd Gilliland as well. I would lobby for Todd Gilliland. Finished 11th in this race a year ago. Has also looked really solid at road courses. Had the 10th place at Sonoma earlier this season. So I think Todd G being a little bit disrespected by the books as well, or by the DFS platforms across it. So yeah, Todd G is someone I am interested in at 6,800. Any love for anyone else that you can I guess we're not confidently throwing any of these guys on the board, but Ricky Stenhouse.
Stenhouse, I don't hate. I feel like Harrison Burton has to be on the board just because he's still in the playoffs.
Yeah,
they didn't go, and we're completely out to lunch last week at Atlanta. It wasn't a good finish, but they weren't as terrible as I think people thought they would be. And he's all the way down at 5,200. Like just the fact that maybe he goes out there, has some good Ford Penske speed, and doesn't look completely out to lunch again at a dirt cheap salary. That's a good way to get, maybe a Larson and an Allmendinger in your lineup. You eat a little bit with Burton on the back end, but you at least have the upside of a playoff driver.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all. I would say, we got Stenhouse, we got Burton. Oh man,
maybe the 51 and the 77. Other than that, I really don't know.
Yeah, throw the 51 on there, and I guess maybe Hocevar.
Probably not Hocevar above a bunch of these guys. That's a really good point.
Let me tell you how bad it's got and how bad Vegas views Legacy Motorsports. They are in a matchup this week with Rick Ware Racing. And I don't know who to pick in that matchup. Rick Ware Racing against Eric Jones and John Hunter Nemechek, two damn good drivers. Like, let's not get that confused. Like, two damn good drivers. And like, I just don't know. Like, they're trying to build their notebook themselves. They're not getting the information from Joe Gibbs. They're not paying for it. So I get it. But it's just so hard, man. It's hard to watch.
Yeah, and it's been rough, but you're right. I think it's their growing pains, because I feel like that. I know Richard Petty's teams have not run well for about 30 years now, so I get that. But I feel like you can't have Jimmy Johnson. As I don't know how involved he is. He's like living over in London. He's at Goodwood instead of worrying about the NASCAR stuff. I don't know how involved he is, but I know that Jimmy Johnson's got that pedigree. I know that the GMS guys, they did a lot of good work in the truck series. They're not going to want to run a shitty cup operation for very long either.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's some growing pains, and to put him up against Ware and probably have Haley on the board and neither the 43 or the 42 is crazy. But you're right. That's where we are with Legacy, to the point where I think they're absolute liabilities across the board. I mean, it's even to the point where even at like Talladega, I don't even want to touch either of them. Like, Jones ran okay at some portions of the Atlanta race, but it's just not good for them right now at all. You're right.
6,400 though for Jones. I think he at least deserves to be maybe on the board.
Just for driver pedigree.
Yeah, has given you some points as well. Charles pointing out in the chat, average finish of 22nd at Watkins Glen for Jones. Finished 10th here in 2022. So that wasn't Legacy, but that wasn't too long ago. Or was that Legacy? No, I don't think that was Legacy. I think that was still the king. But yeah, man, I got anything else to say on these scrappers down at the bottom that we're not going to throw on the board?
I mean, well, at least more to mention, because that's my tradition, and I want to waste my breath even more for you guys. You mentioned about Austin Dillon and Josh Berry, nothing really special there. Corey LaJoie, we already know that he's probably going to trade rides with Justin Haley, get that Ware car at least. So good for him staying around. Noah Gregson's not a great road course guy. Kaz Grala is not really that worth much. Daniel Hemrick probably heading elsewhere. Maybe our favorite driver, Ty Dillon, back in the Cup Series next year, if the rumors you hear are true in that car. Ryan Preece, nothing to write home about. And like we said with the 42 and 77, the road course pedigree and the team pedigree just not really there in the case of the 42.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely agreed with you there. Yeah, I think that'll do it for the DFS tiers. We can shift over to our giveaway, I think, to round us out then.
Sounds good.
All right, let me go ahead and pull that up then. And I do want to add a couple of the names from some of the new faces that I did see in here as well.
Yeah, while you do that, we'll go through some of the stuff here. So like I said, the grand prize of sorts, Great American Getaway 400 hat, media gift over there at Pocono Raceway from the summer. And then a few little die-cast trinkets here. We've got Eric Jones, number 43, Tide NASCAR Authentics 164th from that Bristol dirt race. We've got some throwbacks here. Dale Earnhardt, 1998 GM Goodwrench Plus Daytona, when he finally got the Daytona 500 done. Crazy that, made in 1998. It's as old as us. Still in the packaging there. Love these collectors. We've got Michael Waltrip, number 55 Napa, 187th scale in the little case there. And then we've got a Kevin Harvick, 2015 Budweiser, Make a Plan to Make It Home, 164th, because we do encourage our Busch Light drinking here, but we encourage it to always happen safely and to always, as that says, make a plan to make it home. And then another little more toy car than anything else. Dale Earnhardt Jr. 2015 Valvoline Cale Yarborough throwback, 187. Ooh. One of those little pullback ones where you pull it back and let it go, and it drives forward there for you. Shout out to Circle B Black Friday for some of those. Shout out to Little Flea Markets for some of those. Just some nice stuff to pass on to the crew here. And of course, have you a part of what we were able to do at Pocono, in large part thanks to your guys, your audience, and all the super stickers and stuff like that we really could not appreciate enough.
Yeah, absolutely. If you guys don't see your name here on the spinner, let us know. And here in the next 10, 20 seconds, and we'll get you up on there. But try to add most of our usual listeners that I could think off the top of our head. And then also some people I saw here tonight as well. But yeah, like you said, Elliot, we just want to try to give back at, as much as we can here. And we definitely want to do some more giveaways here in 2025. We're not going to go anywhere. We're definitely gonna have content for you in some shape or form over the off season as well. I'm not sure, what that looks like. We're kind of still planning on that, but let us know. Like, do you guys want off season content? Do you want some stuff that's pre-recorded? Do you want live on a different day of the week? We want to make content for you guys. That's like the thing here. So let us know. Like, do you want silly season content? Do you want NASCAR betting previews for 2025? Like, let us know. I think that's the whole thing here, Elliot, is like, we're trying to build a community and make content that people that like our content want to watch.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Like I said, super thankful for you guys that you seem to like what we're doing so far. So we really appreciate that. And we will be able to reload that little, the IBT, the little gift, we'll call it a little gift basket, gift vault for lack of a better term here, and get you guys. I know a lot of people like the autograph stuff, but
yeah,
that's what we got for you. Like I said, bringing you guys into the community here. And it looks like we got Jason as our winner. Congrats, Jason.
Jason, congratulations, Jason. We appreciate it, man. Appreciate you tuning in with us very frequently. Hope you're live with us tonight as well. But excited for it, man. Excited for it. Did I just add Jason? Yeah, I think he is live with us because I think he commented earlier with us tonight. So Jason, hit us up. You can find us on Twitter at IBT_media. You can find Elliot and I at our personal handles as well at @between_SethFF. And Elliot, I think you were at eHicks39. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yep. You can send any of those accounts a DM with your information. We'll get it out to you from the little IBT offices in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, as we'll call this. Get that out of the mail for you as soon as you get us the information. So congrats again. And
yeah.
Thanks to yourself and thanks to everybody for being a supporter of the show.
Yeah, thank you, Jason Pruitt. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We greatly appreciate it. We'll see you next week. Enjoy the Glen. And, hey, let's rep some Dale Jr. shit for the show next week. Let's go, baby. I even got a Dale Jr. cutoff in '88, so maybe I'll bring out the guns next week for the audience, Elliot.
There you go, man. Thanks for rolling down the back road with us, everybody. And we'll see you next week. Same time, same place for the back road.